Welcome to Central News, I'm Amy Forrest. In today's news, Tauranga City Council has received a glowing pass mark from the Labour Party for its efforts to promote an age and disability friendly city. The opposition spokesperson for disability issues, senior citizens and conservation spokesperson, Ruth Dyson, visited Tauranga yesterday to meet with organisations and the Mayor to discuss the city's aim to future-proof the city. The meeting was in response to Tauranga City Council's recently initiated disability strategy and age-friendly city policy that sets out a long-term plan to remove barriers and include people with disabilities in everyday life. A Jeep Cherokee believed to be related to the murder of road worker George Tairo was seen following a farmer on a tractor shortly before George was shot, report police. A farmer has told police that he was travelling in a tractor unit along Ongorauto Road from Whakamaru towards Atiamuri on the afternoon of Tuesday 19th of March when a Jeep began following. At one point he had to pull around a dark-coloured Jeep which parked partially on the road. Further down Ongorauto he noted that the same vehicle was travelling behind him and continued to follow him when he turned onto Tram Road and towards the traffic control point being manned by George. Detective Inspector Tim Anderson says although the tractor was travelling at relatively low speeds and the road was clear, the four-wheel drive did not take any opportunity to pass the tractor. Collaboration with a range of stakeholder groups is to be a key feature of new moves to protect and restore the health of the Waikato and Waipa rivers. It is hoped the collaboration over river-related changes to the Waikato Regional Plan can help avoid issues ending up in the Environment Court. Waikato Regional Council has today signed off on how the Council and its River Iwi partners will work with stakeholders to develop changes to the Regional Plan relating to the rivers. The approved stakeholder engagement strategy ensures a diverse range of stakeholders which will have meaningful input into developing the plan change. Civil Aviation Authority Chairman Nigel Gould announced today that airline passenger security charges paid by airlines for departing passengers are set to increase. The increases, which take effect from 1st of June 2013, will see the international charge rise by $3.98 to $11.98 and the domestic charge rise by 90 cents to $4.60 per departing passenger. Mr Gould said these increases come after 2 years of reduced charges introduced to eliminate a projected $27 million accumulated surplus by June 2013. When the reduction was announced in 2011, the government signalled that passenger security charges would need to increase again from 2013, once the accumulated surplus had been redistributed to air travellers. Now for our region's weather. Hamilton, morning rain for you, a high of 20 and a low of 7. Tauranga, much the same for you, with rain easing in the afternoon. You have a high of 21 and a low of 11. Just ahead, Red Puppy Appeal Day. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. Friday is Red Puppy Appeal Day and thousands of blind or visually impaired New Zealanders rely on a guide dog to help them. Right now there is a 12-month waiting list for a guide dog. Hilary found out more as to why these dogs are so important.
What is the Red Puppy Appeal?
The Red Puppy Appeal is the street appeal for the Royal New Zealand Foundation of the Blind. It's a national appeal and it's the way that we raise funds for guide dogs.
And what do the donations go to?
There's no government funding at all for guide dog services in New Zealand, so all the money raised will go towards the breeding and training of guide dogs.
Now we can bake bickies as well.
Yes, that's sort of a fun way that over the last couple of years that the foundation has found you can bake some biscuits, get your friends and family and your colleagues involved and sell them for donations.
Is that to help the children get involved?
And we can get the children involved and others as well. Other members of society are doing it. We've got people in rest homes baking bickies and sharing it with their friends. It's just a more fun way of doing things really than the street appeal.
How important is a guide dog?
For me personally, I couldn't be without him. My current guide dog is guide dog number 3, and for me he's my independence, he's my confidence, he's my companionship. He's with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm closer to him than I am to my spouse.
So is the dog kind of like an extension of your arm?
Oh, he's my eyes, and he really is an extension of my arm. I mean, people have equated it to getting out of bed in the morning and going to work without your watch on. For me, it's more like going to work without my clothes on.
What does a guide dog actually do for its owner?
A guide dog's role is basically to second-guess the handler and keep the handler safe when it comes to traffic, any obstacles around the place, people walking up the footpath, all of that sort of thing. It's to make sure that there's no banging into things overhead or on your side or anything like that.
So a guide dog is actually trained to look up as well and actually be aware of the whole surrounding?
Absolutely, absolutely. A guide dog is trained basically to be the size of the dog and the person.
How long does a guide dog take to be trained?
About 2 years for the average guide dog. There are some dogs that take a little longer or a little less, but that's about the average.
Some people actually have specific needs that they need their dog to be trained for. What is an example of these specific needs?
We do. All guide dogs are trained to guide dog standard, and then they're matched with a blind person. And if that blind person has needs that are slightly different from your average person, you might get somebody that is in a wheelchair as well as blind, and the dog will need that little bit of extra training to get used to dealing with a wheelchair, which would never have happened before. That sort of thing.
And specifically for yourself, you're a bit of a fast walker?
Exactly, and I mean the guide dogs, when they come out of their training, they then go into a pool of dogs that are ready, and they're matched with the people that are waiting around the country. Myself, I'm a very fast walker, and we'll need a dog that can walk very fast. There are other people, for example, that might be 6 foot something, and they need a dog that is a little bit taller, things like that.
What does the Royal New Zealand Foundation of the Blind do?
The Royal New Zealand Foundation for the Blind is set up to provide blindness services to New Zealanders that are losing their sight or are fully blind.
So what are some of these services?
Computer services, technology services, magnifiers, learning how to deal with sight loss. That can be a major thing for people to be dealing with when later in life.
Does the Royal New Zealand Foundation of the Blind get government funding?
Quarter of our budget is government funded. However, there is no funding whatsoever for guide dog services, so all the funds raised in this appeal will go directly to guide dog services.
So what does the Royal New Zealand Foundation for the Blind do?
The Royal New Zealand Foundation of the Blind provides services to people that are losing their sight or blind people in New Zealand. Services like technology, phones, employment services, magnifiers, magnification, that sort of thing.
How long does a guide dog work for?
It depends. Guide dogs, they're like people. Some people can work for a longer period of time, other people can't work for a very long period of time. My guide dog at the moment, he's nearly 11, and I've had him since before he was 2, and he will be due to retire sometime this year. And that transition is something I'm not very much looking forward to be honest. You spend so much time and effort building that bond in the beginning. It can take 12 to 18 months to build the bond, and at this time of his life to turn around and have to deliberately break that bond is not the easiest thing, and I'm not looking forward to it at all.
And how do you go about breaking that bond?
We're going to have to be quite tough about it, I think. I'm going to need to say goodbye and walk away at that stage.
Do they have one lined up for you already?
Not at this stage. Like I said before, guide dogs, when they're graduated and ready to go, they'll go into a pool, and I'll get a dog matched with me that has the right walking speed, the right temperament, and is able to do what I need in my working environment.
And I suppose they would have to be quite fit and a fast walker.
Bit of a Ferrari.
Red Puppy Appeal Day is on the 5th and 6th of April, and proceeds go to training these amazing dogs for the use as guide dogs. Coming up next, we look at drink driving in the Bay of Plenty. Welcome back. After the long Easter weekend, there were more drink drivers caught on our roads. We found out more about the drink driving statistics in the Bay of Plenty from the Bay of Plenty Road Policing Manager.
Do you think there is a dangerous driving culture in the Bay of Plenty?
It's a good question. I'm not sure that there's so much a culture within the Bay of Plenty. There are sectors of the community who appear to have a couldn't care less attitude, and we can talk about drink driving in that respect. There are people who want us to apply the rules, providing it's not to them. So New Zealanders in general have a less than healthy attitude to road safety compared to some of our OECD partner countries around the world. But I don't think it's a dangerous culture, I just think it's a less than ideal attitude to driving.
Do you think then that there is a drink driving culture in the Bay?
Sadly there is. We have one of the highest catch rates of drink drivers in the country. Northland is the only other region that comes close to us, and we're talking the numbers caught and prosecuted. So for example, over the festive season just gone, looking at December, January, for the whole of the Bay of Plenty, we had 495 people caught for drink driving. Now that's nearly 500, and they're just the ones we caught. So who knows how many others are out there. We're all sharing the roads with these people who clearly don't have proper control of their vehicle. You can't.
Why do you think that is?
Again, it's a couldn't care less attitude. The rules don't apply to me, or I'm okay, I'm not that drunk. But all the research indicates that you drink and drive, there is no way you can have proper control of your vehicle.
Now, you mentioned complacency. I mean, what can we be doing about that?
Good question. It's a challenge. Driving is a skill. It is a skill that needs everybody's attention. It's one of those skills that unfortunately we take for granted. It's because most people do it every day, and we tend to add other skills onto our driving, like drinking coffee and combing our hair and talking on the cell phone, none of which are really good mixes with driving. And you just need to drive around, look at the cars around you. When people driving near you are not paying attention to the road, they're putting you at risk.
Are there any tips to kind of tackle our own complacency?
Look, it's a constant battle. I guess until people are prepared to take personal responsibility for their actions when they're driving their car, having a policeman or policewoman looking over their shoulder isn't going to do it. But we will still enforce the rules. You break the rules, you pay the price.
Are there signs that our drink driving rate is improving?
Yeah, that's part of the good news. Yes, it is. We've had a number of youth expos here every year for the last several years, and nothing else changed other than that expo with young people, and what we noticed was women and young people in particular have started to reduce their presence in the stats, which is a really good news story. So, yep, our catch rate is down. It's well below a 3-year average of numbers of people we've caught. Still too many though. I mean, 500 odd over the Christmas period. It's 500 too many, but it's still below what it has been in previous years. So we're going in the right direction.
Does the Bay of Plenty have a high rate of drink driving?
We have a high rate of drink driving, and we have the highest catch rate of drugged driving in the country as well. In fact, we have twice the number of people caught driving with drugs in their system than the next nearest police district in terms of people being caught. So that is a significant problem as well.
Do you think that the drug driving rate is quite high because the police are actually focusing on drug driving now?
We have trained as many staff as we possibly can to deal with that problem. I can't honestly say that we have a bigger problem with drug driving than other districts, but we are engaged in dealing with that problem more proactively.
And what are the police doing to tackle that drug driving?
With drug driving, we have more staff than many other districts trained to deal with it. the regime for dealing with a drug driver is quite time consuming. So a drink driver can take on average half an hour to 40 minutes. It takes close to 2 hours to deal with a drugged driver. It's a competency based test, not a blood result initially, or there's no breath test for it. They're picked up at checkpoints. So if someone is seen driving and their driving behaviour is such that they don't appear to have proper control of the vehicle, breath test is applied, no alcohol. But clearly there is something going on there. So we then have what we call a field impairment test, which is a cognitive hand-eye coordination test. From there, assuming they fail that, then there is a blood test.
Does that theoretically make it less of an exact science though?
Initially, it's observations and a cognitive hand-eye coordination test, but when you come to the blood test, it is an exact science. All right? So the law is not whether you are affected by by drugs, it's whether you have the presence of drugs. So whether you're affected is the test by the police staff initially. Once you've passed through that gate, it's just simply the presence of drugs. So if you have drugs in your system that you should not have, then it's an offence.
Just ahead, Mashup. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. Next weekend, secondary school students will be competing for the best mashup. Hilary found out what a mashup is all about.
What is the mashup competition?
So the mashup competition is a group of Bay of Plenty school children, secondary school kids, that get together over a weekend and effectively create a mashup, which is a joined together website from multiple sources, say like iTunes, Google Maps, or Wikipedia, and they sort of bring it all together in one website over 24 hours and develop a proposition.
What does mashup mean?
Well, mashup is sort of bringing together a number of things from different places. Perhaps an example might be using iTunes, Google Maps and the Encyclopedia Britannica website or Wikipedia to bring together a site about national anthems where you could go on and click on a country and get information about that country and link it to a Google Maps and pull the national anthem off iTunes. So it's sort of bringing together a whole lot of things into one place, mashing them together.
What will students have to do over the weekend?
Well, what they'll do is they'll be in teams, and the teams will be made up of hopefully someone with some technical sort of ability or programming ability, some project managers, and they'll get together in a small team and they'll be presented with some propositions or some ideas to work from, and then they'll create a website, and then they'll have a 4-minute presentation at the end of that to present back to the judges and sell their concept to us.
What kind of students are you looking for?
All sorts really, secondary school students from anywhere in the Bay of Plenty, and they can be at any age group, whether they're sort of 13 through 17, 18. Most of them are sort of have a technology bent, so they're interested in computers and programming, but also some more business focused kids who are interested in taking sort of technology propositions and delivering them into the business world.
And why does Trustpower feel it's important to support this?
Oh, we're based in Tauranga, obviously, so this is a regional awards, and we're really keen to support local kids. We have a strong connection with the education sector here in Tauranga and the wider Bay of Plenty. And from my perspective, who heads up the technology team here at Trustpower, we're keen to build relationships with these kids early so that they see that there's opportunities and career opportunities in locally in Tauranga with an organisation like ourselves. And the other part of it is we send mentors along from our group, whether they be technology, software developers or project managers or our online web people, and they help mentor the kids over the course of the weekend as well. So they get the opportunity to give something back to the community, and quite often you learn a lot from the younger generation as well. So they come back with ideas and use them in their day jobs.
What do you think students get out of it?
A couple of things. I think they get the opportunity to work first and foremost as a team with a group of other kids or students. They get to learn from mentors that provide them with some sage advice around how to do things. They get to understand how they need to work under pressure. They get an opportunity to present their ideas, so there's sort of a whole lot of different elements to sell an idea, to have a clear business plan and a proposition that they can talk to clearly. They get to eat a lot of pizza, I guess, over the course of the weekend, and they also, if they're successful, they win cash, so they get some spending money.
What does API mean?
So API is an application programming interface, which is a bit of a technical term, but essentially it means a protocol where different software can talk to each other. So it's sort of a standard protocol where one data source coming from Wikipedia can talk to another data source coming from Google Maps. So it's just a standard interface.
And is that quite complicated to comprehend?
Oh, pretty easy to understand. All you need to know is it's there, and then you can use those data sources to talk to each other.
What are the judging criteria?
We look at business planning, so the way that they've gone about developing their idea. We look at project management disciplines, so about how they deliver something once they've worked out what it is that they want to deliver. We look at the technical quality of what they've done in terms of programming capability, and then we look at the presentation, the more marketing side of selling their idea to the judges, and they generally do sort of live demos, so obviously pretty important that that works when they're under the spotlight.
What will the winning team win?
So the overall prize will be the Mashup Cup, and the winning team will also be invited to present their mashup to us here at Trustpower, and also to one of the other sponsors, the Bay of Plenty Regional Council. They'll also be invited to spend a pizza-fueled afternoon with local software development house Cucumber to learn from them, and presentations to their local school at assemblies, media opportunities. Other prizes are like $400 cash for particular prizes, so there's plenty of prizes and excitement for them.
And will there be experts there on hand just in case things get a little bit complicated?
Yeah, so there'll be mentors coming from around various organisations around the community. Some of those will be coming from Trustpower, so yes, they'll have software developers, business people there to sort of help them with it.
Why should students enter?
Oh, look, I think it's a great opportunity to showcase their interests and their talents. You know, a lot of school kids is about sport. This is an opportunity for those kids that have different strengths to go in and show their wares in an environment that they can excel in.
There is still time to register for this competition. Visit mashup.co.nz. Well, that is news for today. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have any news, including your own video or photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I'll be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Amy Forrest. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.